الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. He says, O believers, have taqwa in Allah Azza wa Jal, which means that we should be conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. We should be aware of Allah Azza wa Jal. And we should protect ourselves from His punishment and His wrath. And we should never allow ourselves to die except in a state of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, state of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I begin my khutbah by asking Allah Azza wa Jal first and foremost to send blessings and prayers upon our Habib, our Rasul, our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa an'im wa barik ala nabiyyina wa habibina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathira. Amma ba'd, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. SubhanAllah, this month marked the passing of one of my dear friends and my dear mentor. I consider him even a Sheikh, my Sheikh, Sheikh Lise, who had a very interesting journey that I figured that I can share it with you as I am processing his legacy, thinking about the greatness that he passed. He returned to Allah Azza wa Jal as a cause of cancer that he was battling. And his life was very inspirational because as a child, he actually had to go through very difficult time as he was abused at the age of 14. And subhanAllah, Allah Azza wa Jal sometimes bring certain life events to you as an individual, or to a family, or to a community. And sometimes we question, what is the divine wisdom behind this life event? Sometimes we try to figure out, what is the reason behind it? And subhanAllah, in the case of my dear Sheikh Lise, this life event has changed his entire life. Because this life event made him think about Allah Azza wa Jal. He was an atheist, and he never believed in higher power. But like I said, something sometimes happens that shakes you inside, that makes you rethink about everything in your life, your mu'taqadat, your creed, your theology, your lifestyle, everything. Sometimes to the better and sometimes to the worse. In the case of Sheikh Lise, was a huge transformation in his life. Sheikh Lise started thinking about this concept of the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal. You see here, a life event happened that caused a child to actually strengthen, not only strengthen, explore the option that there is actually a higher power, and to be a man with faith. So Sheikh Lise, a couple of years passed by, started learning about different religions, just trying to seek the truth, to see where is the truth, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to Islam. And what is very remarkable about his journey, he shared with me, a couple of things that actually made him believe, things that hit his mind and things that hit his heart. But then he said, I was really going through a difficult time, but then I found the Quran as my shifa. Shifa'un lima fi sudur, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. That the Quran causes healing to the heart of the human being. And he said, Wallahi, I found it. Because every single time I look at the ayat of the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu yurid, he said every single time something beautiful comes after it. So he said, Wallahu yuridu an yatuba alaykum. Allah wants to forgive you. Yuridu Allahu an yukhaffifa ankum. Allah wants to, yukhaffif is such a beautiful word in Arabic language. It means alleviate. You're carrying something very heavy, and somebody comes up to you and left it from you, make it lighter on you. Wallahu yuridu an yukhaffifa ankum. Wallahu yuridu bikum al-yusr wala yuridu bikum al-usr. Allah wants ease for you and does not want to harm you or makes it so heavy on you. He said, I just found the Quran as this relief. And subhanAllah, I remember when we went to our Sheikh, both of us, our Sheikh, who also passed away in this month. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him rahmah ya Rabb al-alameen. He passed away 3 years today. He returned to Allah at the age of 83. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it so heavy, everything, all of his teachings, all of his writings, make it so heavy for him on the day of judgment, ya Rabb al-alameen, heavy on his kill, ya Rabb al-alameen. But then we went to our teacher, and Sheikh Lise was trying to process everything. Yes, his heart is at rest now, but he wanted to strengthen his faith. So he came to Sheikh Osama, and he told him, we want to learn from you. Both of us went to him, and we were just asking him to teach us something. Then he said, I want you to meet me after Salat al-Asr. So we came after Asr prayer to his house, and then he told us, I want to eat fish from a city that's called Port Said. And that was the most random request I've ever heard from a sheikh. Why do you want to eat fish? from Port Said city. We couldn't question, his request, and we just followed. So we went to Port Said, and then he took us in a boat. Port Said is a very interesting city because in this place, the Nile River meets the Mediterranean Sea. A river meets a sea. So as we are going in the boat, he asked both of us to put our hand and try to take a sip out of the water of the Nile River. So we did this, and it was very, it was very normal. It was a pure water. And then we entered the Mediterranean Sea, and he asked us to do the same thing. And the water was very salty. And then he told us, Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, وَهُوَ الَّذِي مَرَجَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ هَذَا عَذْبٌ فُرَاتٌ وَهَذَا مِلْحٌ أُجَاجٌ. That Allah has merged two seas. This is pure and this is salty, and they don't transgress. And this is one of the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. Sheikh Louise looked at me with a look that this is yaqeen, that this book is coming from Allah Azza wa Jal. The reason why I'm bringing this story of Sheikh Louise is because we are devastated by the news that has been spreading around, and just, it's very difficult to process it. I myself feel this sense of pain. I feel the sense of sadness. I feel angry that why this happened, why a religious leadership would do something like this. And where is the divine wisdom behind it? And why this is happening to our community? And how can we respond to this? Many questions. I was overwhelmed over the past week with all of these thoughts and all of these emotions. But then I said, subhanAllah, to myself that just try to process the life of Sheikh Louise as a man who was going through difficult time in his childhood. And that was a great life event that happened to him. And then I said to myself, yes, sometimes we go through huge, great life events, and then something great, in a good sense now, comes out of it. And I said to myself, subhanAllah, maybe it's a wake-up call to all of us. It's a wake-up call to all of us. Because we need to reconsider many things. Reconsider protecting our children, measures and precautions that we should take to protect our children. To protect our children, to safeguard our children. In the masajid, in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe it is a reason why we think about how to even, make the extra mile and emphasize this to our children, that you should never be silent about something that happens to you, and that you should actually come and open up and share, and there is no shame to do this. Maybe us as parents should reconsider leaving our children alone with their teachers or with the imams, even with the same gender. Maybe we think maybe it's a must. This is a wake-up call. A wake-up call to all of us to reconsider our measurements and our precautions that we take when it comes to our children, our own children. A father of 2 daughters, and I had difficult time processing this as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, and protect our children, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. And there is another thing that I was reflecting on, is that our religion is about worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal first and foremost. That's the core of our religion. We don't worship imams. We don't worship scholars. We don't even worship prophets. We worship Allah Azza wa Jal. And an incident happened when the Prophet ﷺ departed from this dunya. And the Muslims were very overwhelmed. It was very difficult to actually process the passing of the Prophet ﷺ. To the point that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, it really hit him. It hit his heart. And he was very emotional about it. He loved the Prophet ﷺ. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu stood up and said to the Sahaba, to the Muslim Ummah, "Man kana ya'budu Muhammadan فإن محمدا قد مات ومن كان يعبد الله فإن الله حي لا يموت." Whoever worships Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Muhammad has returned to Allah. But whoever worships Allah Azza wa Jal, then he is the ever living. He is Allah Azza wa Jal. So yes, we worship Allah Azza wa Jal. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِن مَّاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَى أَعْقَابِكُمْ وَمَنْ يَنْقَلِبْ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ فَلَنْ يَضُرَّ اللَّهَ شَيْئًا. He said it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself said it in the Quran, that we should anchor our faith in Allah Azza wa Jal first and foremost. We learn our deen from our leaders and our imams and our scholars throughout the history of Islam, and our prophets, the ones who brought this knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal to us. But we don't worship them. Nobody's sacred. Our faith should not depending on a behavior of an imam, or a behavior of a scholar, or a behavior of a leadership, religious leadership. Our faith should be depending on Allah Azza wa Jal himself. And so events will happen. People will make mistakes. People will make mistakes. But that's not a justification to us to be deprived from our faith. It's not a justification to even emphasizing to our children that they should be, concerned every single time they go to the house of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and that could happen as well. It's very devastating, and I acknowledge it. I understand it. But we need to channel our emotions as well, understanding the gravity of the incident. But at the same time, we should really channel those emotions. We cannot deprive our children from the house of Allah Azza wa Jal as well. We cannot make our children feel that they're actually unsafe when they come to the house of Allah. Rather, we make ourselves, we make sure that us, and it's a collective responsibility. A responsibility of a father, a responsibility of a mother, a responsibility of the imam, a responsibility of the board of the masjid, it's a collective responsibility. We all share this responsibility to make sure that this house of Allah and all the houses of Allah are a safe haven to our children when they come to practice the religion. It's all of our responsibilities. But it's also very dangerous to make our children feel this sense of resentment towards the house of Allah Azza wa Jal itself. Redirect these emotions to actually figuring out more measurements, more precautions to protect our children. And that's all of our responsibility, insha'Allah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our children, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you in this blessed moment to protect our children, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to protect our children from all different types of evil, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you to preserve our community, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, preserve our community, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, preserve our children, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Kareem, Anta al-Hafiz. Ya Allah, we call upon your name, Hafiz, أن تحفظ أولادنا وبناتنا يا رب العالمين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Leaving you today with in a good note, in a hopeful message. Sheikh Lise came back from his journey of studying in Al-Azhar. It was a journey of 7 years of studies, and came to Mexico. And he himself transformed many lives. Many people have reverted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala yadayhi. He was a source of an inspiration. So yes, a huge life event happened to him in his childhood. And that was a reason why he is resilient, and he went through it and left a greater impact that we can possibly think about. A greater impact that in his position, he himself never thought that he would be able to leave that impact, changing many people's lives, subhanallah ta'ala. So yes, it is an opportunity. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Inna ma'al usri yusr. With hardships come ease. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring relief to all of those who are affected by what happened, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to bring peace to our community, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to bring blessings to our community, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to bring nothing but faith and prosperity to our community, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Allahumma اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا ثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما.